Good afternoon again. Chairman, Commissioners, Director McKenna, I'd like to extend my own welcome to our new commissioners. And thank you again for welcoming me up here to do this safety minute. Safety is a big part of the operations and things that we do here at MoDOT. We've been wrapping up several major projects, completion with focus on bridges and I-270 North project, and of course, gearing up for winter operations. I did see that our weather emails were updated with a slight chance of bridge frost tonight, so everybody be careful on your drive home and if you're still driving out there late tonight. So far, we are showing dry and hazard-free weather for now. If we do need to use our shelter, it is out and down the hall, down the stairwell, and towards the print shop. If we need to evacuate, those on stage will exit out the back door here through conference room 101 and to the sidewalk on Jefferson Street. Those in the audience will go out these doors around to your left, out by the loading dock, proceed to that Jefferson Street area. There is an alternate exit, of course, out the main entrance if that's the way that you came in, and then meet us around to the side at Jefferson Street. Walk up that hill, make sure that you check on your buddy sitting next to you and that they got it out safely as well. If there is a small fire, we have a extinguisher in the back and Marty Lyles has agreed to grab it. If we have a medical emergency, Mark Corcoran will call 911 and direct them to our location here at 105 West Capitol Avenue. Becky Almaroth has volunteered to do CPR. Eric Schroeder will assist. And we have an AED right outside in the hall if that's needed. Tom Blair or myself will grab that. This concludes the Safety Minute. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicole. Before we go any further, there's a couple things I want to do. Since we're talking about safety, I want to recognize that we have out in the hall Master Sergeant Solomons with us, and we appreciate everything that the Highway Patrol does to keep our roads safe. Also, I want to share with everyone that on a sad note, one of our former commissioners, John Briscoe, passed away this past weekend, and he's going to be greatly missed. He was a great American, and really am honored to have the opportunity to serve with him. And if you would keep his family in your thoughts and prayers, it'd be appreciated. Next, I'd like to recognize our special guests. We have with us today St. Louis County Executive, Dr. Sam Page. And we have a former Commissioner, Tom Waters. And then I always like to recognize Kevin Ward with Federal Highways. He's in the back there. Thanks for being here, Kevin. In the past 2 months, 2 of our senior management team members have retired. Today, we want to take a moment to recognize them for their service to Missourians. I invite retired state design engineer Travis Kessner and retired state maintenance director Natalie Rourke to come forward. Travis and Natalie, thank you for being with us today. Travis worked for MoDOT for 30 years in a variety of roles, starting as a summer intern and working his way up through the construction and design programs. Natalie worked for MoDOT for 20 years in a variety of roles in design, maintenance, and traffic programs. But on a personal note, I think all of us commissioners need to thank you for being so gracious, because we always confuse you with your sister. If you don't know, Natalie has a twin, or Nicole has a. See, there I go.
Come on.
Natalie has a twin sister, Nicole. And they're both engineers in leadership roles with the department. Either of you want to say anything?
Nicole wishes she could be here today. Unfortunately, she's ill. So I just want to say I greatly appreciate the opportunity to work at MoDOT, the collaboration, the challenges, the innovation, the efficiencies that we brought to our work. It's just really been rewarding in my career and the friendship and family, MoDOT team family. So greatly appreciate it, and on to another career. So thank you so much.
Real same thing here. Really appreciate it. It's kind of interesting to see full circle some of the public service things that happen, which makes MoDOT a great place to work, along with all the people that work at MoDOT. It makes it really awesome to work and getting to work with a variety of commissioners. But the first full circle today, you know, a presentation about a job that I worked on very early in my career, which is the toll bridge, which is now going to be turned over. So it's pretty awesome. I didn't know that was going to happen today, but I may have to stick around and watch that. Yeah.
Okay, we want to get a picture.
Yeah.
So.
Don't matter to me. Sorry. Nothing to turn about.
Next, I need to review a few procedural items. I want to remind everyone that we have a public comment period, and we are pleased to offer this to every Missourian that wants to come before the commission to address an issue of concern. Any of you that would like to address the commission, please sign up before 3:30. A reminder that you will have 5 minutes for public comment or 10 minutes per subject. Abstentions. Next, I need to review our abstention process. There are commissioners that, because of land ownership or business interests, or the lawyers may represent clients that may either have some relationship to a matter coming before the commission and may have a potential or actual conflict of interest to be considered or voted upon. The commission member will indicate if she chooses to abstain from voting or to recuse himself from participating in a discussion of an agenda item. If an agenda item is divisible by contract, call, project, or the like, a commissioner may specify that particular matter and then still vote on the remainder of the agenda item. This information is provided to the commission secretary by letter in advance of the meeting. The commission secretary will duly indicate the abstentions or recusals accordingly in the minutes of the meeting. Madam Secretary, have the necessary letters been prepared? Thank you. First item of business on the agenda is consideration of minutes for the regular meeting of December 6, 2023, and the special meeting of December 5th, 2023.
Move to approve. Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Next is items of consideration on the consent agenda. Does anyone need to remove an item for discussion later or to abstain from an item?
Mr. Chairman, I will abstain from the final rulemaking on the railroad regulation.
Okay, thank you. And then I need to remove one item that is a policy change. Item number 2 on the consent agenda. This is a policy change that we are proposing to consider. We're going to move that to next month, so it'll allow our 2 new commissioners a chance to review those proposed changes. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. You know, since Commissioner Slay and I have just joined the commission, we talked about it earlier. I think we were planning on abstaining on the contract bids. Would that abstention happen now, or how do we go about that, Mr. Chairman?
It's both. You can do both. Like,
Okay.
since you weren't here for the last meetings, if you want to
Right.
abstain from approving the minutes, that's fine. And then when it comes to the bid proposal, if you want to abstain, then yes.
Since we really haven't had a chance to look them over, I think I would feel comfortable abstaining because I haven't had a chance to look them over.
Each one is a separate action item here, so you can abstain on each of the votes as you come.
Mr. Chairman, if you would please help direct me at the time that I need to do that, that would be wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay.
So do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
At the remaining items on the consent agenda. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Next order of business is we're going to receive committee and board reports. Commissioner Boatright serves on the audit committee, and he will give today's report.
Mr. Chairman, no report this month. Our next audit committee meeting is scheduled for April 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner Boatright. Commissioner Boatright and I serve as co-chairs of the legislative committee, and Commissioner Boatright will give today's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The second regular session of the 102nd General Assembly started today at noon. While it is hard to say what transportation initiatives will be discussed during this year's session, the commission and department stand ready to assist any and all elected officials who wish to advance the transportation conversation for Missourians. I would like to report that on December 8th, MoDOT staff delivered the department's annual report to the governor, lieutenant governor, and members of the Joint Committee on Transportation Oversight. This annual report includes a copy of MoDOT's annual comprehensive financial report and MoDOT's 2023 annual report, which consists of the Citizen's Guide to Transportation Funding in Missouri, the financial snapshot, and MoDOT's results document. As outlined in the state statute, MoDOT Director McKenna will have the opportunity to appear before the Joint Committee to present the report to its members at the time and place that is yet to be determined. More information on legislative activity is forthcoming in the days and weeks ahead. Mr. Chairman, this ends my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Boatright. Commissioner Smith serves as president of the MTFC, and Commissioner Erdman and I are board members. Commissioner Smith will provide the report for you today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is no report. The next MTFC meeting is in February of 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Smith, Boatright, and Erdman serve on the Emperor's Board. Today, Commissioner Boatright will provide the report.
Mr. Chairman, there's no report this month. The next board meeting is scheduled for February 16th, 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner Boatright. Commissioner Smith serves on the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety Executive Committee and will provide a report today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety Executive Committee did not meet this month. The committee would like to once again thank Bob Brinkman for chairing this committee the past couple of years, and we'll be looking to a new appointment from the commission to this committee in the near future. So I'm just sitting in today.
Oh, I thought you
No, so I'm just sitting in today. So with the start of a new year, we have some preliminary data on the end of the year traffic fatalities for Missouri in 2023. As of today, preliminary data indicates 986 people were killed in Missouri traffic crashes in 2023. This is a 6.7% decrease from 2022, but still an average of nearly 3 lives every day lost in the state. Way too many. So the end of the year also signals the conclusion of the third annual Buckle Up, Phone Down High School Showdown. This collaborative effort between the coalition and AAA saw 110 high schools throughout the state participate in a friendly challenge to secure the most Buckle Up, Phone Down pledge. In total, more than 16,000 pledges were received during the 10-week competition. The final numbers will be tallied this month, and the winning school will be announced and recognized very soon. So later this spring, a similar Buckle Up, Phone Down Showdown will begin for Missouri businesses. I challenge you to, if you're not a member, the Buckle Up, Phone Down, be sure and get online and do it. So this concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Next item on the agenda is the MoDOT Director's Report. Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Thanks, everyone, for being here today. I just want to extend my congratulations to Natalie and Travis, and thank you on behalf of the entire department for careers well served. Not over, I know, but for the time that you spent here at MoDOT, both of you, tremendous leadership, partnership, friendship, and you will be missed. Your contributions will last, and we really do appreciate it. And just outstanding public servants, both of you. Thank you so much. On December 12th, the completion of the $278 million I-270 North project was celebrated with an official ceremony in Hazelwood. Governor Parson joined Commissioner Smith, state and local elected officials, along with MoDOT and our contractor team to cut the ribbon on this 4-year-long makeover of more than 9 miles of interstate in North St. Louis County. We've prepared a short video to share the highlights from the celebration.
We're here to celebrate the completion. We're at the finish line of that. The Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission awarded the best value to proposal to Millstone Weber Parsons team on November 6th, 2019, approximately 4 years ago, right here. This project replaced 18 bridges, had 19 miles of new concrete pavement, 42 miles of highway being repaved, 24 traffic signals have been replaced. We have additional multi-use trails on both the North Outer Road and the South Outer Road, known here as Dunn and Purcell. And we have the Missouri's first dedicated bus lane that connects the North County Transit Center and St. Louis Community College Flow Valley campus.
Being here today with you and seeing the completion of this 10 miles of interstate highway and all the improvements made to reconnect communities across this highway, this is what makes me happy and makes me proud to be a commissioner and improve transportation in Missouri.
These are the kind of projects that make a difference long-term in the state of Missouri when you talk about infrastructure. These are what long effect help your community to bring businesses here, to keep people here, things of that. That's why infrastructure is so important to me.
I want to thank everyone who's here today, representing cities, the businesses, transit riders, everyday commuters. Thank you for your patience. This has been a 4-year project. Your patience has been critical. Thank you for that patience as we work through this project together. The improvements to I-270 also elevates this interstate as a major conduit for the state's economy as a freight corridor connecting to manufacturers, suppliers, and distributors along Interstate 70 and beyond.
I'm so proud of my colleagues that support me and help me be able to make a lot of things happen for this community. It would not be possible without every single one of you. And again, this is a community that deserves it. Please clap it up for I-270. This is a tremendous deal for our region.
It's been a long time in the process. 2019, I was there when the award was made for the design and build, which I have no idea how these engineers can figure out which lanes and everything's going to take place over a 4-year process and how much it's going to cost. It's just amazing. So it was really neat to be there for that award. And 2019, it's like, oh, 2024, that's going to be forever. It's here. It's right around the corner. Throughout the process, though, I do want to thank MoDOT. I learned a lot. They were very communicative with myself, which I was able to pass along to my constituents.
Yeah, that was a great event. You can see the smartest person up there on the stage was Tom Kuhn, who was wearing a hat. It was cold in the shade there. So that's why Tom and I were stumbling. Our faces were frozen. But during the month of December, members of the commission and I joined Governor Parson at 4 bridge locations across the state to celebrate the completion of the governor's Focus on Bridge program. Ceremonies were held near Cape Girardeau, Joplin, St. James, and the final bridge in Independence on December 19th. This program, and we've talked about it, this program is really a turning point for transportation in this state. It's the first time that general revenue was made available to invest in road and bridge work with the initial infusion and then the bond proceeds that came on. And really, I think from that point forward, we were turning the corner and moving forward. And the governor's leadership in this and the General Assembly, the commission, it's just really amazing. And it was an exciting tour that we took. And we really appreciate the governor's good humor and goodwill and willingness to celebrate with us this great achievement. So we've got another short video to celebrate these achievements on completing all 250 of those bridges.
This program, the Focus on Bridge program, I think it's important to recognize the leadership, not only of Governor Parson, but of the General Assembly, who did something very unique several years ago. They decided that the transportation and infrastructure problems were important enough in the state to invest general revenue into the road and bridge work, because the revenue that we hadn't really increased in many decades. And when Governor Parson suggested that we invest and make some small investment to get going, and that critical turning point has turned into an amazing run of the last 5 years with this governor, and to have a governor start a program, advance 250 bridges, and just next week we'll have opened to the public all 250 of these bridges.
As a member of the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission, I'm pleased to be here to celebrate this Focus on Bridge nearing completion. What an accomplishment this has been for Missouri. Just a few years ago, we identified hundreds of bridges in bad and critical condition and poor condition, and that needed improvements. And it took a lot of innovative thinking on all Missourians, the legislature, the governor, MoDOT, that innovative thinking is what we do best right here in Missouri.
This is a tremendously important achievement. There are school districts all across the state who've had to divert, and had we not fixed these bridges, that would have been much, much worse.
For all of you that work day in and day out, wear the hats, wear the reflective gear, and deals with the public day in and day out, I just want to thank you for what you do every day. Earlier today, the commissioner and the director, myself, was in St. Louis, the North 270 project. So let me give you a comparison between the two. 145,000 vehicles went across that bridge today in that area on a daily basis. This bridge carries a little less than 500 people a day across it. This bridge is just important as that bridge is, because everyday people, school buses go down it, emergency personnel go down it, businesses go down it, and a lot of you, commissioners, people go down this every day. It doesn't matter whether it's in rural or urban areas. Bridges are important to everybody that lives in those communities, and why we started doing these programs like we did, and why we're making the investment in infrastructure. But when I became governor, the STIP plan in this state for 7-year progress was $2.5 billion for the state of Missouri. That's projects that we had on the table to do in 7 years. As of last year, when we signed the latest one, it was for $14 billion. So you're going to see more improvements in the state of Missouri. It'll be highways, it'll be bridges, it'll be airports, it'll be rail, and it'll be river ports. Because we're going to make some of the largest investments in the state's history, and we're going to do it for infrastructure. And MoDOT is going to lead the way for that.
Yeah, that pretty much says it all, right? With the governor's leadership there. You know, one of the things we do, and it's great to celebrate the wins, but I think it's also important to keep a clear eye and understand when we are not meeting expectations, and when we need to look at that. One of our core values is providing outstanding customer service, and evaluating and working to improve Missourians' customer satisfaction with the department has and will continue to be a significant factor in the achievements of our mission. Every other year, we conduct a detailed survey to get a report card on our performance from Missourians. Data from this survey is used in our performance measurements tracker to focus on customer satisfaction and the long-range transportation plan. In 2023, we had ETC Institute completed a comprehensive statewide customer satisfaction survey, and the report is attached in our in today's consent items. I wanted to take a few moments to share some of the important highlights from this report. I think gives us a path to work on going forward. The purpose of the study is to assess customer perceptions of MoDOT's overall performance and to identify and prioritize transportation services and improvements most important to Missourians. We were able to upgrade this process this year, and I think we got more participation and engagement. We used texts, Facebook, Instagram, and postcards were used to contact residents. It's not the old day where you could just call them on the phone, right? And we did it in each county, so it's a statistically valid survey to obtain a diverse sample across Missouri. Specific minimums were given, such as 500 responses per district. In total, just over 5,000 Missourians provided completed responses. This year was the first time the survey was offered in Spanish, which was taken by 64 respondents. The majority of Missourians were satisfied with the job MoDOT is doing, but the satisfaction continues to decrease. And this is the third study area in a row where that's happened. Overall satisfaction was at 68%. That's 5% below where it was in 2021. Again, we used a little bit different methodology, probably got a more comprehensive report, but that's a concern. 15% of Missourians were very satisfied with the job MoDOT is doing. Missourians continued to agree that MoDOT provides accurate, timely, and understandable information about projects in their areas, with those results at 88, 87, and 85% respectively. 84% of Missourians agreed that MoDOT was the primary transportation expert, but that's also 5% lower than it was in 2021. 76% of the residents indicated they trust MoDOT to keep its commitments to the public, compared to 79% in 2021. A positive area was the satisfaction with MoDOT's management of snow and ice. 82% were satisfied, compared to 79% in 2021. In the 2023 survey, Missourians indicated there were a number of very important services needing improvement that citizens marked as high priority to them. Keeping the surface of roads and bridges in good condition continues to be a high priority, similar with past reports. 4 items fell into the category of higher priority, and MoDOT can greatly improve resident satisfaction with improved offerings in these services, including removing debris from the driving lanes on highways, improving the brightness of striping, minimizing congestion on highways, and managing snow and ice on highways. The greatest challenge MoDOT has in fulfilling Missourians' expectation to operate and maintain the transportation system is having the staffing levels to accomplish these expectations. Our fiscal year 2025 budget includes appropriations to continue work on addressing the market pay concerns, as the Commission and MoDOT have faced a workforce turnover crisis, but also the need to increase the number of employees. With the support of the Commission, Governor Parson, and the General Assembly, the rapid decline in staffing has leveled off, and for this we're grateful. However, we continue to experience significant vacancies and are considerably below labor hours compared to just a few years ago. When we look back to 2017, the amount of labor hours that we paid for was nearly 1.8 million labor hours less in this past year in 2023 than in 2017. That is a central issue. And again, we experienced turnover where we were losing 90 people a month at one point. And again, we can't be more thankful for all the support that has leveled that off, but we've got some work to do to grow out of that. We know that these reduced labor hours are impacting customer satisfaction, and this report shows that. The Commission has tasked the department with turning this around. In mid-December, I provided testimony to the House Subcommittee for Appropriations on our budget needs, specifically related to our staffing. That is attached to my report today and in your backup. Our fiscal year 2025 budget includes 350 additional full-time equivalents, new staff, to improve the ability to accomplish our mission. Approximately 250 of these are directly related to operations such as litter and roadway debris, mowing and trimming, and signal operations. The other 100 FTEs are related to project and program delivery and construction inspection to ensure we complete the 1,500 funded projects to be delivered to Missourians in the next 5 years. So we've got a chart up here, and this is, this chart, the top 3 lines are essentially the asset condition of our roadways. So major highways, and then minor roadways, and then low volume roadways just below that. And you can see that we have actually made the most progress in recent years. A little uptick that you see in that, I guess I'll call it a fuchsia color in the middle. That's the low volume roads. So the infusion of the $100 million that has come 2 years straight from the General Assembly has made a difference. But in general, you see where our asset management plans are working. We're holding steady at the rates that we are. Those may not be satisfactory to everyone, but they're consistent and they're meeting our goals based on the funding level we have. But what you see there in the orange is the customer satisfaction. And you see that decline. We're concerned about the decline as the commission is. And then you see the labor hours, and you see that trend in labor hours tracking very similarly to the decline in customer satisfaction. The green bar below is something I hadn't mentioned, and that's actually the labor hours that we receive from our partners over in the in corrections, and those have been considerably less available than they have been in the past. About a 400,000 labor hour reduction. So just when we compare that 2017 period to last year, it's about 2.2 million labor hours below, and that is really our primary task, along with executing the construction program. It's these customer satisfaction issues that when we look at them, we look at their roadside maintenance primarily, but they're windshield issues. They're pride in community, their pride in these things. But when we're playing triage with the number of employees we've had, we consider the issues on the roadway as life safety issues, and the things on the side of the roadways as not as high a priority. But we recognize that citizens consider those to be a high priority, and they'd like them addressed more so than they are today by the department. And they have good reason to do so. They are paying more for the service with the increase in the motor fuel tax, and they should expect better service. We've just had this dynamic with staffing that's been a challenge, and one we intend to meet and intend to fill. So, the support of the commission is critical. The support of the General Assembly and the governor is critical for us to turn this around, to reconstruct. We know we're on it took multiple years to get here. We know we're on a multi-year effort to bring this back to the level of satisfaction. But I think rest assured, we continue to look at data as it comes at us, and not just push this aside. We know this is a big deal, and this is really the focus of the department over the next several years, and we intend to turn this around. So with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Anybody have any questions or
Just a
comments?
comment, Patrick, thank you for sharing the highlights of the report card from the Missourians. And it is very important that we try to meet their expectations. And it certainly emphasizes we need to continue to work to retain our employees so that we can put these transportation projects that they want done out there.
That's right. Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Good report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Thank you, Patrick. Next item on the agenda is an action item. Danica Stovall-Taylor, bidding and contract services engineer, will present bids for our consideration. Danica?
Chairman Ecker, Commissioners, and Director McKenna. For the December 15th, 2023 bid opening, MoDOT received 96 bids on 26 calls. We recommend to award all calls to the lowest responsive bidder except for call D05, located in Central District, and calls G04, G11, located in the Southwest District. We recommend rejection of calls D05, G04, and G11 due to excess bids for Section 102.15A of the Missouri Standard Specifications for Highway Construction. Also, we recommend the Commission concur in the City of Carthage project led on November 30, 2023 for the roundabout project in Jasper County. These complete our recommendations for you today.
Mr.
Anyone have
Chairman,
any questions or comments?
I move we approve the bids.
Been moved and seconded to approve the bids. Any further discussion? This is where you,
Mr. Chairman, since I've hadn't had a chance to look this over, I ask that I be recused from this vote.
been recognized that Commissioner Hageman and Commissioner Slay is going to recuse themselves from the vote. It's been moved and seconded. Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion approved. You have a budget update.
Yes, we do. Today's awards are for a total of $65.8 million, which is $427,000 under budget. That leaves today's awards result in a state fiscal year 2024 award total to date of $834.8 million, which is a cost of 1.2%, $9.7 million over budget.
Thank you, Danica.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is an action item. Ed Hassinger, Chief Engineer, will start the presentation about safety improvements design build project. Ed?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Director, we are thrilled to be here to present to you a best value proposal for a design build project in St. Louis. But first of all, I want to kind of go back. We are very careful about how we use our design build authority. It was granted by the legislature. We make sure that we do an evaluation of the project to make sure that design build is the right delivery method so that we can get the best value and that we can use the innovation of the industry to get, the best proposal that we can get. Back in October of 2022, the commission approved us to move forward with design build on this St. Louis project. And I think last month you heard a design build proposal for the Northwest Bridge Bundle, which was a great proposal. You just saw in the video that the I-270 project, which is now complete, is another great success through the design build model. And so we are here to present to you the next in that series of projects that are bringing great value. So one of the things that we do once you approve a design build project is we go about the process of finding a project director. The director on these projects are very important. They're the lead, they're the front, they're the ones that set the tone for us to get the industry to bring their innovations. So once you approve the project, Tom Blair, our district engineer, went about the task of finding a great project director. And Stacy Smith is that project director. The other unique thing that I think on this project that is different is we have a great partnership with St. Louis County. For the first time in a design build project, we've used the resources of the department in conjunction with the county to provide safety improvements across not only MoDOT's system, but the county system, which is novel and something that we are pretty happy about. So with that, I'm going to introduce to you our project director and share with you the results. Stacy.
Thank you, Ed. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Chairman Ecker, Commissioners new and not new, and Director McKenna. As Ed said, my name is Stacy Smith. I'm the project director for this safety improvements design build project. As you'll see, it truly is a life-saving partnership with our financial partner, St. Louis County, as well as hopefully a design build contractor. Let me start by introducing my team. Here in the back, raise your hand as I call your name. Daniel Steinmeier, Michelle Kirpin, Dave Simmons, Glenn Connersman, Chris Becker, Nicholas Hayes, Nicholas Gibbons are all here and have done truly tremendous work on this project. 5,321 serious or fatal crashes occurred in our 5-year study period from 2016 to 2020 in our 3-county area of the city of St. Louis County, and Jefferson County. We included in this project 416 locations that the teams were allowed to choose from as they developed their proposal. We also required that 25% of the locations that they choose must be in or adjacent to areas that the US DOT has identified as disadvantaged for transportation or financial or health reasons to ensure equitable distribution of the locations. Our top number one goal, the whole point of this project, is to reduce fatal and serious injury crashes within our combined budget of $52 million. We need to do that by maximizing safety improvements for Pedestrians and other roadway users distributed equitably across the project area. We need to provide improvements with reasonable maintenance and service life, considering our maintenance forces and budget. We need to also construct these improvements with an eye toward keeping our workers safe as well as the traveling public. And we need to deliver the project by June 30th, 2026 using a diverse workforce. I do want to mention, just for context for the new commissioners, that this presentation is much shorter than the one I gave you this morning. It's a condensed version, so the slides may look a little different, but it's the same information. So the requirements for this project on the MoDOT system, we had a two-pronged approach. Maximize general safety improvements, locations where crashes are occurring. Let's reduce them in the future. And a systemic approach to reduce future crashes for pedestrians along our system as a systemic approach. For the St. Louis County budget, they wanted to focus their money on general locations, general safety improvements in the county. Two budgets then for this project for a total of $42.5 million design build contract and a stipend of $250,000 to the unsuccessful bidder. We started this process back in early July, releasing the request for qualifications, or RFQ, and holding an industry meeting on July 6th. We released the short list of competing teams on August 4th and released the request for proposals, or RFP, on August 29th. Proposals were then due December 5th after we spent the fall meeting one-on-one with each team to answer their questions. And today, January 3rd, is my recommendation for the best apparent value, with project completing June 30th, 2026. We have the standard DBE and workforce diversity requirements in line with the availability of those in the St. Louis area. And we had two teams submit proposals. Gershenson Construction Company was teamed up with Wilson & Company and Bartlett & West. And West Contracting Company was teamed up with Horner Chifrin, Lockmuller Group, and Engineering Design Source, Inc. We had four main scoring categories for this project. The general safety improvements were worth 60 points, 40 points allocated to the MoDOT system, 10 points allocated to the St. Louis County system. Those were self-scored using a spreadsheet format based on their improvements. Then the next 10 points were allocated for MoDOT and St. Louis County to review what was entered in the spreadsheet for quality of implementation. 15 points for systemic safety improvements, 20 points for maintenance and durability, and 5 points for managing the safety of the work zone. Quick summary of the Gershenson-Wilson team. They proposed, just by the numbers here, they proposed improvements at 259 locations in our 3-county area. They proposed 17 additional innovative countermeasures and standards for a total safety value credits from that spreadsheet of 2,339. That's the combined number for MoDOT and St. Louis County. That 2,339 credits we estimate would result in reducing fatal and serious injury crashes by 200. Some of the top scoring innovations on their team included improving signal visibility by installing retroreflective backplates, offsetting the existing left turn lanes to help make left turns safer as drivers choose when to turn, and installing transverse rumble strips in advance of curves to encourage drivers to slow down. A summary of the West Contracting team's proposal. They proposed improvements at 195 locations. They brought us 37 additional innovative countermeasures and standards for a total of 2,886 credits combined MoDOT and St. Louis County system. Those credits then we estimate would reduce fatal and serious injury crashes by 248 in our 3-county area. Their top scoring countermeasures included improving drivers safer, offsetting existing drivers safer, and improving signal visibility by installing retroreflective backplates. Therefore, our recommendation of the best value proposal is the West Contracting team. in partnership with Horner and Schifrin, Lockmuller Group, and EDSI, or Engineering Design Source, Inc. Some highlights from their proposal. Their proposed roadway improvements are listed here on the screen. A diverse mix of pavement and signing and pavement marking improvements. And then proposed intersection improvements, signal modifications, geometric modifications, signing and lighting improvements. Overall, this team proposed installing 86 on the MoDOT system, 86 curve-related countermeasures, 176 intersection-related improvements, and 43 roadway-related improvements for a total of 305 improvements or countermeasures on the MoDOT system and 51 on the St. Louis County system at that 195 locations. You can see the proposed locations on the map. Overall, based on how MoDOT and the industry calculate impacts financially to society of fatal and severe crashes, we estimate that this project and this proposal would reduce that impact to society by $1.2 billion due to the reduction of 248 fatal and serious injury crashes, we estimate. And just a note, a crash can involve more than one person in the vehicle. So this is reduction in crashes. Therefore, it is my honor as director of the Safety Improvements Project and on behalf of my team to recommend that you, the commission, approve our recommendation of the West Contracting Team as the best value proposer, that you authorize the director, the chief engineer, or chief financial officer, or their designee to negotiate and execute a contract with the apparent best value proposer, subject to approval as deformed by the chief counsel's office, and that you authorize payment of $250,000 stipend to the unsuccessful proposing team.
Thank you, Stacy. Anyone have any questions or comments? Steve?
I've got a comment. Stacy, excellent job once again. I love the design build project, the process, being able to, knowing that there's no true right or wrong answer and being able to go out, put this together, build a team, and come out with results like this time and time again, really speak volumes to that design build process that we have in the state. So thank you for stepping up again and doing this role, and just really excited about the results that we see out of this. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Patrick?
Yeah, I'd just like to point out, and Stacy and the team really did a remarkable job. They're pretty humble about it, but they created a 70,000 cell spreadsheet and a huge amount of data involved in this. But that upfront work on the data and the work with the consulting teams is bringing a value that, typically when we invest public dollars, you expect a return in those. And anytime you make that investment and the return is greater than the dollar that you invested, you could consider that to be a win. On the state side of this system, as I understood the numbers, 22 times on that, and on the county side, 113. Those are extraordinary numbers, and this is proving out now the second time that St. Louis has come out with a design build using this data driven approach. Federal Highway recognized that initial one as what should be a national best practice. And this is something that you should see more of from MoDOT in the years to come, because as Stacy pointed out correctly, the best part about this project is that it is intended solely to save lives. That's what it's there for. And 248 crashes, the amount of suffering on a family basis, on an individual basis, that will be avoided as a result of this work. That's what it's all about. So excellent job, Stacy, and to the team, and to the winning team that's going to execute this for us. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that this is another example of MoDOT being extraordinarily innovative to bundle up as a region safety improvements and allow the private sector to compete with the best ideas and to bid it out on a design, that's an innovative idea and it deserves recognition. I also want to recognize St. Louis County for their partnership in this. That's a leadership role for sure. Hopefully my friends on the western side of the state are taking note. And just to call out the staff for thinking outside the box on this. It's not the first time that MoDOT has been recognized as the federal highway best practice. And, we're at the cutting edge of this.
Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the recommendation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The recommendation is approved. So
Mr.
thank you,
Chairman.
Stacy.
Yes, St. Louis County Executive Dr. Sam Page, as well as Jarrett Jasper from the Horner and Schifrin, who's part of the successful team, are here. May they say a few brief words?
Yeah, we want to get a picture with you too.
And then a
So
picture.
come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Sam Page, St. Louis County Executive. I'm just here to say thank you for your investment and your partnership to reduce traffic fatalities in St. Louis County. 17% of the people in Missouri, 25% of the jobs are in St. Louis County. We have an extraordinary number, unfortunately, of traffic fatalities and serious injuries, and we are very excited to be participating in this new program. Hope to bring you great results back and a great report back. Commissioner Erdman, I accept your charge to share our experience with Jackson County. Frank White and I talk frequently, and Mayor Lucas will share our experiences for sure. Thank you again for your partnership.
Thank you.
Hi. Jared Jasper, Horner and Schifrin, Design Manager for the project. I'm honored to stand here today in front of the commission to accept the award of this project for the West team. Thank you to the commission and to MoDOT for this opportunity, to Stacy for her leadership through this. The MoDOT team was a great partner during the proposal process, and I expect that will continue throughout the duration of the project. So I wanted to thank the West team who couldn't make it here today, Chris West, President, Rob Flotron, Project Manager, and I wanted to thank our engineering team too, Horner and Schifrin, the people there that were dedicated and committed to this project, and our partners, Lock Miller Group and Engineering Design Source. So thank you for this opportunity. We look forward to moving this into the design and construction phase. This project is about safety, and we're going to implement significant safety improvements for all users, vehicles, pedestrians alike throughout the St. Louis County, St. Louis City, and Jefferson County region. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, congratulations. And we would like to get a picture with the commission and Stacy and your team and Dr. Page.
Oh, okay. Okay. You'll stand up.
Yeah, I'll maybe do the stand up.
Okay. Push chairs up.
And bring the microphone
You gotta get straight on. You know what it's like.
Don't do this. Do this.
Learned that a few years ago. It's terrible. Oh, yeah, they say it's on me. I only had one of them. I didn't think you wanted to.
Sorry, hopefully I'm not blocking.
Thank you. Congratulations. He took our picture.
I know.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda is an action item. Michelle Watkins, Central District Engineer, will start the presentation about the Lake of the Ozark Community Bridge Transfer. Michelle.
Good afternoon, Chairman Ecker, Commission, Director McKenna. About 30 years ago, some very motivated local leaders had this vision for providing better connections at the Lake of the Ozark and improving the economic gains in that region. And so they set about doing it, something that many people said was impossible. And they took some unprecedented steps along the way. They formed the first transportation corporation in the state, and they delivered the Lake of the Ozark Community Bridge for that community and all those who visited, right? Over the years, they've done many things. They've secured the financing for that bridge. They certainly provided for the construction of it. They've reorganized their organization to a transportation development district. They've operated and maintained it, and they're at the point now that they expect to pay off their bonds ahead of schedule by April of this year. So, fabulous success story, but in consideration of the 2012 cooperative agreement that was entered into by the Missouri Highways and Transportation Corporation and the Lake of the Ozark Community Bridge Transportation Development District, the district will transfer the bridge to the commission and it will be added to the state system. So I want to take a moment, and it really is my pleasure today to introduce to you three of many of the leaders over the time that have made this a real success story. I want to introduce first Chairman and President Eddie Pugh, who's here. I would also like to introduce Executive Director Jim Warner and Vice President and Treasurer Joe Raker, all of the Lake of the Ozark Community Bridge Transportation Development District.
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you for giving us a couple minutes to share our pleasure of having worked with MoDOT and the commissions through the years. Thank you for your time, Chairman Ecker, commissioners. I see you again. Director McKenna. That slide, we have a few slides, kind of memory lane type stuff, you know. And this first one really does capture the cooperation and the collaborative effort of our entities down at the lake and MoDOT and the commission back to 1991 when the enabling legislation was enacted. And the directors and the staff of the Lake of the Ozarks Community Bridge, TDD now, originally a Transportation Corporation, have been honored to serve the residents and visitors of the state of Missouri in the creation and management of the first and one-of-a-kind toll facility in the state of Missouri. Now, sadly, the time has come when we've worked our way out of a job. And again, in this room is like going back memory lane. And I see Rich, Travis, Brenda, you know, this goes back to the 90s. And in fact, it was really 1992 that the incorporators petitioned for a transportation corporation under the new legislation. Warren Donaldson and Joe Yeager were instrumental in that process. I just tagged along. I was the pup. And sadly, well, Warren and Joe are now gone, but they saw the opening of the bridge in 1998. We lost a few other board members along the way, but we are ready to turn it over to you all. With me today, and I want to point this out, Mr. Eddie Pugh, who you just met, is one of the original board members from the incorporation of the Transportation Corporation. And so he and I are the only two surviving original board members. And we think we can make it to April or so. And Mr. Werner was our first manager, first employee, and he then joined the board somewhere along the way. I don't know what year that was, Jim, probably 2010. So anyway, that is the beginnings of the Transportation Corporation. And then, and I put this slide, I don't know if you guys can see that slide, but we want to give tribute to the Highway Commission at the time. And there's the members there, because, I mean, it wasn't a slam dunk. This was by no means a certainty that this was going to happen. And they went out and they worked, and they agreed with the vision and the foresight, and approved the feasibility study and allowed us to incorporate and seek financing. We'll fast forward here to 1996 is when we actually issued the bonds. And this was a truly collaborative project. We have 40 million raised by the bonds. We had private contributions of right-of-way, over 130 acres or so, and a 5 million contribution to state funds for the approachways, particularly on the west side of the bridge. So it was a collaborative effort from the very beginning. Let's see what we got here. Oh, we'll go to May 1st. And so we're approaching another big event, and we hope you all can be there as we get ready to pay it off and make it free. On May 1st, 1998, we had the dedication and the ribbon cutting, and it was attended by the governor and the senator, Ike Skelton, Commissioner Chair Lee Kling, and there they all are, cutting the ribbon in May of 1998. So since that time, how many cars you think have gone across that bridge in the almost 26 years? Well, it's 35 million. So, and there's I'm going to show a couple of slides here of the impact on the local, not just the local community, the entire state, but particularly the Lake of the Ozarks. And we're really thankful for the commissioner's role in that. How has the community bridge helped the community? Well, here's just a snapshot. This is a taxing district over on the west side of the lake, which was pretty sparse back in 1996 with an assessed valuation of 79 million. Last year, it was $394 million in assessed valuation. And that is because of the bridge, almost exclusively, really. And there's a picture before the bridge, if you can see it. And then you can see the development on what is known as Shawnee Bend, or the west side, which was the quiet side. Not quite as quiet as it used to be, thanks to the bridge. So that's sort of memory lane of where we are. And now we are at the stage where the bonds will be paid off. We'll satisfy our other liabilities, and pursuant to the statute, we'll ride off into the sunset and turn it over to Michelle and be done. And that last slide just says mission accomplished. And we should all be proud of the collaborative effort. And it has been a joy, really, to work with the district folks, going all the way back to Jim Toft, Ron Hayden, Roger Schwartz, Michelle. It really has been our honor. And it'll be a nice day come spring, and we'll have some sort of ceremony and stand on the bridge maybe one more time. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your presentation. Anyone have any questions or comments? Commissioner Erdman?
Well, congratulations. What a mission accomplished. I'm thinking back 30 years. I was chief of staff to then Senator Kit Bond, and I remember when this was being proposed as an idea. My memory isn't quite as clear now as it was when I was younger, but I recall Peter Brown with the Lodge of the Four Seasons. He made a compelling case for this bridge. And over the years, the bonds were issued. They've been retired ahead of schedule. The projections that many people thought might be overly optimistic proved not to be true. And in fact, this bridge has changed the Lake of the Ozarks. So congratulations to you and to all of the founding members of the corporation, to those surviving members, and to everyone at the lake who made this new and innovative approach to bridges possible. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. And it was a collaborative effort. I mean, we all had to buy into it. We all did. And now we can celebrate. Thank you, Chairman.
So thank you all once again. Certainly
Well,
your partnership
we do the-
is very much valued and your success is to be commended. We appreciate it.
So we need to take care of finish the business, then we want to take a picture. So this
Okay.
is an action item. So I need, is it a motion and a second to approve the recommendations on this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. So now we'd like to get a picture taken.
Let me think about that.
probably there at the time.
Yeah.
It was Senator, U.S. Senator. Yeah.
Congratulations. It's been a while.
Would have been, if it was 91.
Congratulations. What great vision. Okay.
Good job.
Yeah.
We can press it. Yeah, we can press it. No, that's good.
There you go. Thank you, pictures.
No, it's not. And maybe it did something on the
You know, that's. Yeah, I think he was expectation because and he was down, he's a little further south. but-
Missouri law didn't allow for this kind of a corporation.
Right.
And, being able to. Yeah, particularly down there.
So it's interesting.
All right, the next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Brenda Morse, Chief Financial Officer, will present an update on MoDOT's financial forecast. Brenda?
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, Director McKenna. Today, I'll be discussing the first step in our process for developing our spending plans for the department. On an annual basis, we prepare a financial forecast. The forecast is an estimate of what revenues and expenditures we anticipate having. This forecast covers a rolling 5-year period. The forecast I'm discussing today covers fiscal years 2025 through 2029 and only covers revenues, operating expenditures, and capital investments for roads and bridges. We start with the actual cash balance at the end of fiscal year 2023. For our projections, we use historical information as well as information from third-party sources. The information in the financial forecast is then used to develop the appropriation submission and the department's allocation of resources for operating, as well as the targets that are developed for the transportation partners in the development of the statewide transportation improvement program, or the STIP. We'll be discussing some unique characteristics of this forecast. The last couple of years has resulted in additional revenue and bond proceeds being a part of the available resources the department has. Most of these come in the form of one-time funding. I'd like to touch briefly on these items. First, during last year's session, the Governor and General Assembly approved $2.8 billion in resources to fund the Improve I-70 program. $1.4 billion will come in the form of bond proceeds. The first issuance was conducted in November, with the funds being delivered in December. Should future conditions merit a repeat, we anticipate 2 more issuances in 2026 and 2028. The other $1.4 billion comes in the form of cash. The general revenue was deposited into a fund held by the Office of Administration, and the funds will be transferred into the State Road Fund as the commission enters into contracts. Also, $136 million of general revenue will be appropriated annually for debt service associated with the bonds. Last session, in addition to funding for the Improve I-70 program, the General Assembly designated and funded several other projects with general revenue or budget stabilization funds, including $20 million for the I-40 environmental study, $100 million for low-volume minor roads, $12 million for the I-55 outer service road in Jefferson County, and $8 million for the Jefferson Avenue Community Footbridge in Springfield. This forecast includes the continued implementation of Senate Bill 262 motor fuel tax that will be fully implemented on July 1st of 2025. The Governor and the General Assembly have approved 2 rounds of transportation cost share funding. The first round was approved for fiscal year 2020, and the second round was in fiscal year 2023. These were funded with a mixture of general revenue and budget stabilization funds and have been included as part of the forecast. The Focus on Bridge program completed its final bridge last month. The forecast includes the remaining transfers of general revenue for the related debt service for that program through 2027. During fiscal year 2023, we issued $500 million of Amendment 3 bonds. Should future conditions merit this action, we also plan to have additional Amendment 3 bond issuances in 2026, 2028, and 2030. Lastly, as part of the financing for the Rocheport Bridge and the Mineola Hill project, the department obtained a Missouri Transportation Finance Corporation loan. This forecast includes loan disbursements in fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025, and the corresponding loan repayments. We're going to talk about each of the 3 primary state revenue sources. On each of these graphs, we'll show the actual revenues from 2012 through 2023, and then compare the forecast we're presenting today to the forecast from last year. The blue line is the actuals, the red line is last year's forecast, and the green line is this year's forecast. The motor fuel tax, excluding Senate Bill 262 revenues, fiscal year 23 actuals were $17.1 million less than what we projected. And as you can see on the graph, fiscal year 2022 at $526.9 million was the highest amount of revenue we have ever received from motor fuel taxes. The previous highest amount was in 2006. And moving forward, based on the first 5 months of fiscal year 24, we think motor fuel taxes will begin a slow decline. This forecast assumes a decrease of 0.2% for fiscal years 2024 to 2026 and a decrease of 0.25% for fiscal years 27 and beyond. We believe vehicles with greater fuel economies and ones powered by alternative fuels will offset any increases in vehicle miles traveled. The overall impact is 83.7 million less in this forecast compared to last year's. Senate Bill 262 passed by the General Assembly in fiscal year 2021 and signed into law by the governor in July of 2021 increases the motor fuel tax by 12.5 cents over 5 years, 2.5 cents per year. This graph shows the projections related to Senate Bill 262 motor fuel taxes. Similar assumptions were made here as they were to the regular motor fuel tax. This slide shows revenues net of refunds, and this slide is also net of constitutional distributions to cities and counties. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the assumptions made related to the Senate Bill 262 refunds. So based on actual refunds, now that we have 2 years worth of actual data, we modified the assumption related to refunds to 1% of taxes collected for fiscal year 2024 and beyond. The overall impact comparing last year's forecast to this year's forecast is 30.7 million more for Senate Bill 262 motor fuel taxes. For motor vehicle sales taxes for fiscal year 2023, actuals were 25.7 million more than we projected. People continue to buy vehicles, and the vehicles they are purchasing are more expensive. For this forecast, we started with fiscal year 2023 actuals and grew them 3% for fiscal year 2024 and beyond. This is the same assumption as last year, and the overall impact is 144.9 million in this forecast compared to last year's forecast. As you can see in this chart, motor vehicles and driver's license fees were 10.6 million more than we projected in fiscal year 2023. We're projecting a 1.5% growth rate for fiscal years 2024 and beyond, which is the same assumption we made last year. The overall impact is 56.3 million more in this forecast compared to last year's. In this graph, we compare how state revenue projections for all state revenue in this forecast compares to last year's forecast. The red line represents last year's forecast and the blue line is this year's forecast. The difference between the two lines is $123.5 million. In addition to the three primary revenue sources that we discussed in detail, this chart also includes the interest we earn on our monies deposited with the state treasurer and miscellaneous revenue. Miscellaneous revenue includes proceeds from the sale of excess property or the sale of used equipment, as well as reimbursements from entities that we do joint projects with, for example, the Commission's Transportation Cost Share Program. Federal revenue includes the federal funds for our construction projects, as well as federal funds we receive for preventive maintenance, design work, construction engineering, statewide planning and research reimbursements, and federal funds that are required to be passed through to local entities. Again, we're showing a comparison between this year's forecast and last year's forecast. That comparison shows the timing of federal funding changes a little bit, and overall, this forecast contains 170.6 million more federal funds than last year's forecast. This graph shows the picture for all resources available for state revenues, federal revenues, and Amendment 3 bond proceeds. This graph does not include the one-time funding made available either by the Governor and General Assembly or the Improve I-70 program. This year's forecast has 821.8 million more in resources available than the previous forecast. The major difference is in additional Amendment 3 issuance and bonds in fiscal year 2028 if future conditions warrant that issuance. In this graph, we include all the revenues and disbursements except the Improve I-70 program and the General Assembly designated and funded projects. The red line summarizes the revenues that we just got done discussing. The blue line shows disbursements, and the green line shows the ending cash balance of the state road fund. I'd like to highlight a couple of items that have been included as part of disbursements. The operating budget increased $416.8 million when comparing this forecast to last year's forecast, primarily to improve customer service needs. Disbursements include the items approved by the Commission as part of the fiscal year 2025 budget submission, as well as the following used as starting points for future budget authorizations. A 4% cost of living adjustment in fiscal year 2025 and 2% cost of living adjustments in fiscal years 2026 and beyond. an additional 200 employees in 2026 to address safety and customer service needs. A 2.5% growth rate for expense and equipment starting in fiscal year 2026 and beyond. This chart also includes the disbursements for the construction program. We're going to talk about that in a little more detail in a couple of slides. Overall, disbursements increased $1.2 billion in this forecast compared to last year's forecast. In order to maximize the investment level, the forecast relies on deficit spending. The amount being dispersed is greater than the revenue coming in. The cash balance in the State Road Fund is expected to decline from $1.4 billion at the end of fiscal year 2024 to $463.4 million at the end of fiscal year 2030. The average deficit spending for the 2024 through 2030 time period totals $176.4 million a year. We do need to maintain an adequate balance in the State Road Fund to respond to fluctuations in disbursements and receipt of revenues and for unanticipated expenditures like if we have a disaster. This slide shows the additional investment for the Improve I-70 program and the General Assembly designated and funded projects. This includes any bond issuances for the Improve I-70 program if warranted, and the cashing out of any of the awards made for these projects. Taking a little bit different look, this pie chart shows where all of the funding included in this forecast comes from. By far, the largest amount is federal funds at 36%. Of the three primary state revenue sources, motor fuel tax provides the most at 20%. And you can see that huge investment of other state resources with that bright yellow slice at 15% for the Improve I-70 program and the General Assembly designated and funded projects. The distribution of revenues is very similar to last year. Here is a pie chart that shows the distribution of disbursements. The largest portion is for the construction program at 44%. The next largest category is the operating budget, which includes all the State Road Fund, personal service, fringe benefits, and expense and equipment. This is our investment in the customer service we provide Missourians. Again, you can see that yellow wedge at 14% for the Improve I-70 program and the General Assembly designated and funded projects. Some of the highway user fees are appropriated to two other state agencies, the Department of Revenue and the Missouri State Highway Patrol, in accordance with the Missouri Constitution. This is 10% of the disbursements, and lastly, debt service at 6%. The distribution of disbursements is very similar to last year. This slide shows a comparison of all contractor awards for this forecast compared to the previous forecast. This includes all road and bridge funding. And when comparing the two forecasts shown on this graph, the amounts are essentially the same, but the timing of the awards has changed slightly. Just a reminder, contractor awards is the amount that gets included as part of the STIP and is the amount identified at the beginning of the project. For the forecast, we identify when those awards will actually result in cash out the door. The contractor payments will lag slightly behind contractor awards. This slide shows a comparison of the contractor payments from last year's forecast to this year's forecast. The financial forecast is just one piece of the puzzle. As mentioned earlier, the information in the financial forecast provides the basis for the development of the targets used to select projects for the STIP and to develop the department's spending plan. While each serves a different purpose, they are interconnected, and we're not asking for your approval today, but as the other items, the STIP and the budgets, are prepared and presented to the commission, we will seek your approval at that time. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Brenda. Are there any questions or comments from you?
Just a comment, Brenda, thank you for the detailed report, and we're in great shape to go to work on many transportation projects. So,
yes, we are. You. Thank you.
And your team. I know you have some help.
Todd and Janelle, Todd Grosvenor and Janelle Lucanati, both on my team, do a lot of work on this.
That's great. Good report.
Thank you, Brenda. Next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Lance Taylor, Transportation Planning Director, will present on MoDOT's statewide transportation improvement program. Lance?
Good morning.
Morning.
Chairman, Commissioners, Director McKenna. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I'm Lance Taylor, Transportation Planning Director. And it's my pleasure to talk about the statewide transportation improvement program. Transportation planning, the division is fortunate enough to, is fortunate enough to work on a wide variety of efforts throughout the organization. That includes data collection, data stewardship, performance measurement, tracking, resource development, education, and support. And all of that is really focused on making sure that we have the resources, the tools, the information for staff and our partners to make data-driven decisions that move transportation forward in Missouri. Planning is also fortunate to have a lot of great staff throughout the organization that work in our area. Central office is focused on administering our programs, improving consistency in our approach, and connecting our teammates and partners to our organizational direction. District staff have a variety of roles in STIP programming, but they're really the implementation arm of the effort. They're the ones that work directly with the locals to get their perspective on needs and challenges, to build those relationships on trust and cooperation with our planning partners. And they're the ones that have to have the difficult conversations about having too few resources and too many needs. Missouri uses a transparent and flexible approach to transportation planning. It's called the Planning Framework. It's a nationally recognized and award-winning approach to developing a program. It's focused on bottom-up decision-making that makes sure that we have the right voices in the room and that make sure that the needs that are lifted up are impactful to our local communities. As illustrated in this graph, the planning framework is centered at much of what we do in transportation planning. It's at the heart of our long-range transportation plan direction, where we work with our citizens to establish their vision for what transportation planning is in Missouri. It feeds in and is used for our unfunded needs process, where we develop the high priority unfunded needs. It helps us to make sure that those needs that are lifted up are impactful to the local communities. And then it feeds into our STIP planning, STIP updating process, where we're making sure that the needs that are really important to the regions, that are significant, are lifted up and added to the STIP. Our long-range transportation plan is really a 25-year vision of where transportation is going in Missouri. It's our outreach effort to our citizens for them to provide direction in what their vision for transportation is. It creates the guardrail that kind of allow us to keep track of where we're going as we move forward with transportation in Missouri. The number one priority over the last several iterations of the long-range transportation plans has been that we need to maintain the system and services today. So it's really about making sure that we capitalize on that investment that we've made in transportation over the years. But they also talk about having us make sure that we keep all travelers safe, that we invest in projects that drive economic development and job creation, that we give Missourians more choices for transportation, and that we make sure that we're improving the system by reducing congestion and improving reliability. The high priority unfunded needs list is generated based on the Citizens Guide recognition that we have an annual shortfall of over $1 billion a year between the funding available and the needs that we have. In 2019, the commission directed us to create the unfunded needs list, where we added detail to what that shortfall was and looked at a 10-year outlay of what those needs would be. This annual effort basically identified $6 billion in regional needs lifted up by our local partners on needs that were impactful to them and that will help them in their transportation. The financial planning model, as you just heard in the previous presentation, is is at the center of how we can move forward with the STIP. The financial planning model is the linkage between the financial forecast, the budget, and the STIP. It is the real foundation of it is the financial forecast. It's what allows us to determine what the available funds are for the department, then the available funds for the budget, and then the available funds for programming projects. Once we know what the funds available for programming are, we use the commission-approved funding distribution formula to be able to set the categories and the district totals for targets. The funding distribution formula uses several quantifiable factors in order to determine what the distribution is. It includes the system size, that's the number of miles of roadway that we have, and the square foot of bridge deck that we have. It uses system usage, which is the vehicle miles traveled around the state. It includes the accident history for fatality and disabling injuries, accidents, and then the population and employment numbers for the state. All that allows us to be able to create the funding distribution percentages for each district, for each category of funds. And then you'll notice that it splits the urban and rural in southwest of Kansas City. Asset management, again, is our number one goal for the from the long range transportation plan. It's about making sure that we are getting the most out of the investment that we've already made in the system. And it is an asset management first approach that we generally take. We make sure that we have the funds for asset management before we start looking at funds for system improvement. It's really focused on maintaining the roads and bridges that we have, keeping the condition as good as we can keep it as we move forward. Once the funding is established, the heavy lifting really happens for STIP development. This is where the district go and work with their partners to be able to identify the needs around the state. Our planning partners are made up of local elected officials, the regional planning commissions. They represent the more rural areas of the state, and they're signified on the chart by the colors. Our metropolitan planning organizations represent the urbanized, smaller urbanized areas like Cape Girardeau, St. Joe, Joplin, Columbia, and Jefferson City. And then the transportation management areas, they represent the larger urban areas like Springfield, Kansas City, and St. Louis. All of the partners combine to make sure that we have every area of the state represented and have a seat at the table for planning discussions around the state. Eric Curdy, our previous planning director, liked to refer to transportation planning as the planning pipeline, really taking the data, the local needs, the public input, putting it through our processes and making sure that we're delivering a 5-year program that improves transportation across the state. So what's next? Again, this is a no decision item. We're just trying to provide an update on where we stand with STIP programming. It's probably important to remember that we ask the district staff and our central office staff to keep the machine moving. It seems like there's never a break in the process in transportation planning. As soon as we come out of one stage, we enter into another. We keep staff busy, but we're very fortunate that their dedicated and hard work is really what allows us to deliver the STIP. So we're going to keep working at that. We're going to put the STIP together, and then we anticipate May we'll be back to present the draft STIP. And with that, I would say thank you again for the opportunity to talk about transportation planning, talk about development of the STIP, and entertain any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Lance. Anyone have any questions or comments? Commissioner Urban?
Yeah, thank you, Lance. I think everybody in the room probably knows that this capital planning process is the bedrock of the department. And it's the bedrock because it is the process that sets priorities with local community input. And I think it is critical to our success. that we have regional planning groups that represent communities that collaborate to set priorities and then coordinate the efforts for their regions with local input. I just think it's the bedrock of what we do. And I want to congratulate you and your team for the ongoing program. I know we'll look forward to seeing the new STIP in the spring. And remind people that there is legislation that would change this. There have been attempts to appropriate projects through the General Assembly's appropriation process instead of this robust local planning process. I opposed that last year. Hopefully, maybe it won't come forward this year, but I think this is so important that we defend this because it's so central to the success of what we do. So thanks to you and your team.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lance. You have anything, Pat? Next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Becky Almaroth, Chief Safety and Operations Officer, will present on the safety legislative proposals. Becky?
Thank you very much. I was going to say good afternoon, but it's just about evening, so I'll say good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, Director McKenna. I wanted to take the time. I apologize, and I really hate that Nicole Hood is under the weather because her passion for this document and what her staff has proposed is just infectious, and really with our safety partners, she is really what pushes some of these across the finish line whenever we go over to the Capitol and talk to some of those public policy makers. But I'll try to do it its justice that she would have done. Wanted to take the time. This is our safety legislative proposals for the season. And during the 24 legislative session, the department will continue to make safety our top priority and promote SAFER. I wanted to kind of explain what SAFER is. This document here, it's the safer access for everybody on the roadways. And this document outlines 17 legislative countermeasures that have been identified by the National Safety Council and advocates for highway and auto safety. This proposal allows for the department and safety advocates to partner with public policymakers to reduce crashes and eliminate fatalities on our roadways. So kind of want to step through this and some of those safety countermeasures and explain why it's needed. In 2022, Missouri traffic fatalities reached a 15-year high. So a little bit disheartening for any of us, those that are in the industry, but we had some policies that set us back a little bit. We had over 1,000 deaths, 1,057. We are just closing out the year 23, and it looks like we did have a reduction. Right now, it's still preliminary numbers, but it looks like we did go below 1,000 this year, and we'll end up about 70 lower. But again, you still have people that were in some severe crashes that we have late reporting fatalities or just paperwork cleanup. So the disheartening part of that, and you'll remember Commissioner Brinkman would always talk about that. And he was kind of that safety champion for saying on average today, 3 people are going to lose their lives on our roadways. And on average, 2 of those won't have their seatbelts on. So those are the statistics we have on those crashes. About 60% of the vehicle occupant fatalities were unbuckled. These numbers, absolutely unacceptable. And those contributing factors that you see every day when you're out there driving, speed, distraction, and impairment. These are the fatalities. We talked about 2022, we talked about 2023, but on average in a 10-year given time span, we lose over 9,000 people. So 9,071 fatalities in Missouri in the last 10 years. So this SAFER document, and again, you see very well published, put together. This is something that our staff can take over, give to a safety advocate, hand to a public policy maker, and it really steps out those 17 countermeasures that we're proposing. So again, this is public policy we feel can create a culture in which dangerous behaviors are considered unacceptable. I kind of see it already, even after the hands-free legislation last year. If I pull up to a stoplight and I see somebody that has their phone in their hand, you can't help but kind of look and maybe you should put your phone down. Don't know if my stares are helping anything, but it does help a little bit of that public and peer pressure. The document shows what policies are in place and then also the lives saved from those policies that we have in place, but what we could put in place to create safer travel. Again, we broke this document, the SAFER document, into 4 different categories or target areas. Safer for children, safer for teens, safer for workers, and then safer for you as you're driving or you're in the traveling public. Some of those existing policies that we have in place that are working, the blood alcohol content license revocation. Again, your first time you're caught with the blood alcohol over 0.08 in driving, you lose your license for 90 days. Good Samaritan law, in-person license renewal, the medical review board, the graduated driver's license holding period, child endangerment, and then hands-free for all drivers. Again, some of these, even the in-person license renewal requiring those, you have to go in person to have your license renewed to make sure that you are medically and physically fit to operate a vehicle. Some of the graduated driver's license holding periods. As a mother of one that still has his permit, I really, really appreciate the fact that he needs to have his permit for over 6 months, and he also needs to put 50 hours behind the wheel. That helped me not be the bad guy per se to make sure that he was ready for his license. Some of what I'm showing you right now are 7 countermeasures. What we have in this SAFER document is an additional 17. So 24 are what are really recommended by the Highway Safety Council. These are the additional ones that we'd really like to have in this kind of recipe book that any policymaker can look. And if they have a passion for children, here's a whole section that can help protect children. So again, that's safer for children, rear facing through age 2, those child safety booster seats. Booster seats for those that are above the age of 2, not leaving children in hot cars, bicycle helmets for young riders. Again, if you have a child safety advocate, here's the recipe or some of those recommended policies. Safer for teens, cell phone ban for teens and novice drivers. Again, I have a teenage driver and he checks his brain at the door whenever he has friends in the car. That's just some of those bans for cell phones and for novice drivers can really save lives. Some of the graduated driver's licenses for young passenger restriction. A lot of these seem common sense. These are some of the things where I'm telling my child, here's what's going to happen, but having some of those policies in place really help make sure those restrictions are in place. Graduated driver's license nighttime restriction, graduated driver license, stronger supervised driving requirements, graduated driver license, minimum age 16 for learner permit. I don't know about some of you, but I did not allow any of my kids at the age of 15 to get the permit. They just were not mature enough yet. And a graduated driver's license, age 18 for unrestricted license. So full license does not occur until the age of 18. Safer for workers, very, very near and dear to anybody that works in a work zone, any of our safety professionals, any of our maintenance professionals, all of us on the roadway. Automated enforcement and endangerment of a highway worker, stiffer penalties if you endanger the life of a highway worker. And then safer for you, ignition interlock, open container, primary seat belt, motorcycle helmet laws, and electric bicycles. Again, electric bicycles, this is a kind of a new one, something that we haven't seen in a while, but if you've been on a trail or recreational trail lately, if you walk down the sidewalk, some of these electric bicycles now, I was on a trail yesterday and somebody came by, rounded the corner, he had to have been going 30, 35 miles an hour on an electric bike. Right now, as the law stands, you can lose your license but still operate an electric bike on our roadways. Okay, let's talk a little bit about primary seatbelt law. Again, in 2022, 60% of the vehicle occupants killed were unbuckled. So we are talking about 12 or 13% of the population on our roadways in the state of Missouri that are not buckled, but they account for about 60% of those fatalities. So we know that seatbelts in most occasions will save lives. Let's talk about the motorcycle helmet repeal that occurred a couple of years ago. This one's a little bit near and dear to me. I knew the helmet law repeal was coming into place, having a discussion with a very close friend that I grew up with. He didn't agree with my stance on it, that we should require the helmet. And ironically, a couple of days after the helmet law was repealed, it was his uncle that was our first fatality without a helmet on. Just broke my heart because I didn't feel like I've done enough to have that conversation with him or his family. But you can see what happened in August of 2020 is when the repeal went into effect. We were averaging about 110, 115 fatalities a year on motorcycles. You could see the jump on that. But more concerning is the jump in unhelmeted motorcyclists that were killed. So over an 800% increase just from that motorcycle helmet repeal. You can see the number of deaths that we've had, averaging this 81. We can add 1 to that. So we're going to be hitting 82 or 83 for this year. But didn't have a helmet on, that the helmet may or may not have saved their life. Another one, speeding in work zones. Wanted to play this video. This is a video that KSDK in St. Louis shot a couple of months ago. It kind of showed the speeding concerns that we had in our 270 work zone. Some of these, the public notices that if you go through that work zone, just the extreme speeds.
And check it out. You got to see it to believe it. This is a picture of an officer's radar gun. Friday, they flagged someone right behind me along Interstate 270 going 106 miles per hour. And contrary to what some people might think, officers say this isn't about making money. It's all about public safety.
People drive way too fast. It has become very, very dangerous.
With his finger on the trigger and eye on the road,
So far, I haven't tested anyone that's actually doing the speed limit.
officers like Lieutenant Berger are using laser radars to crack down on drivers along Interstate 270.
The whole purpose is to put out a high visibility and get compliance.
Catching speeders going 80 and over in this 60-mile-per-hour zone.
These guys and gals out here on the highways that are doing the construction work, they're in a bad situation. When you have cars that are 80, 90, 100 plus miles an hour, if there's an accident, it could be just horrendous for a lot of people involved.
Hazelwood police say since 2017, there were more than 1,800 crashes in the area. 1,200 of them reported to have hazardous moving violations like speeding and improper lane use.
84 on this SUV right here.
12 of them fatal.
When you drive, you don't always drive for yourself. You drive for others. You may not like it, but you have to. It makes sense, you know.
Okay, that video really telling. We did have a speeding in I-270, kind of have a concerted effort of multiple police agencies a couple of months ago. In a 4-hour span, there were 68 tickets issued for traveling over 75 miles an hour through a 50-mile-per-hour work zone. So you have to think these work zones too, when you think about driving through those. Lanes are usually restricted. There's usually concrete barriers that are very close. It's dangerous for the motorist to drive that fast, but even law enforcement that's out there, they spend on average 30 to 40 hours a week just enforcing the speed limit in these work zones. They can't be there 24/7. They can't be there at all times while our workers are there. It's dangerous for them to even do a traffic stop or a citation within that work zone. When they were doing that, also the fastest traveling vehicle through that work zone was 124 miles an hour. They did not catch that motorist. So kind of scary situation working out there. Automated enforcement, there's a lot of discussion about that, even with law enforcement, because law enforcement knows how effective it is to pull over that motorist and have that conversation and try to change behavior, but they also know they cannot be out there 24/7. And it is an effective way to identify and send a ticket possibly to that motorist. In 2023, these are the legislations that were filed. So we made some progress on what some of those policy changes could be. And I'll tell you, none of these made it through or crossed the finish line last year. But these that are highlighted have already been pre-filed for the 24 legislative session. So making really good progress. Can't say enough about Jay and his team and the director and even the commissioners going with this document in hand to say these are some pretty simple policies that have been very effective nationwide and in other states. And some of them really, really seem like common sense. And you can't believe that we haven't had a law already to not leave your child in a hot car. Illegal to leave a pet in a hot car, but not your child. So we're hoping to really make some progress on some of these legislations this season. So with that, what questions can I answer?
Thank you, Becky. Great report. Anybody have any questions or comments? Patrick?
I just note Becky said at the beginning that she apologized because Nicole's really passionate about this subject. I just note for the record that the passion comes through from Becky as well.
That's correct.
I've just got a
Becky, just to echo, thank you. And your passion definitely comes through, and appreciate you stepping in for Nicole today, and appreciate the work that you and your team do. Thanks.
Thank you, Becky.
Thanks.
We're now come to the time of our meeting where we have public comment period. Members of the public who do not schedule a presentation before the commission may speak to the commission on transportation-related issues by having signed in at the registration desk by 9:30 a.m. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per person, 10 minutes per topic. Madam Secretary, do we have anyone signed up for public comment? Arnie Dinoff? Arnie.
You know me from past commission meetings.
Well, I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Dinoff.
Dinoff.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. Are you ready for me
Yep.
to proceed? Thank you very much, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, and I'm a state public advocate, and I'm also will be filing in February for state office. I haven't decided if I'm going to run for the office of governor or lieutenant governor, but I will be filing for one or the other. The old commission versus the new commission. The old regime is finally exiting the door. I am adamantly against rubber stamping, puppets on a string, country club folk that we've had on the past commission, Doug Club hierarchy, dining on filet mignon, lobster, champagne, caviar, cigar tooting commissioners at Missourians' expense. And if you all recall, about 3 years ago at the Brinkman compound on Missouri Highway F, when you held an illegal meeting in violation of Chapter 610 of the Open Meetings Act, the Sunshine Law, you all had to come down in a bus paid for by MoDOT, a private limousine to accommodate, because I was there as a resident to attend a commission meeting on the compound of Mr. Brinkman, a multi-million-dollar compound there, and you all recall that. Purchase of these offices that you sit in as commissioners gives you access to the governor's campaign war chest. And in my opinion, the heck with Missourian drivers complying with our state constitution, House appropriations process of the Missouri Senate and the Missouri House of Representatives. There are currently 2 circuit court cases and an appeals case going in the title of Missouri Transportation Commission versus the state of Missouri. And Senator Hickman, who's a former senator, probably knows about that lawsuit that's currently ongoing. You, this commissioner, is suing the state legislature over appropriations and pay of employees. One judge in Cole County recommended that the pay be given to MoDOT employees in spite of what the state of Missouri and Office of Administration has said. Yet there is a lack of responsibility, much needed accountability, including the director's salary, which I've asked for years, and your council has still not responded to my public information request for Mr. McKenna's public salary and benefits. It's off the chart, and it's very concerning and a slap in the face to MoDOT workers outside of this building. But he took care of the 33 administrative central employees to the tune of a 30% pay raise. Your goal is to maintain and fix our highway system and accessory capital improvement infrastructure. I heard the director on the Eagle, a Columbia radio station, a few weeks ago talking about the increase given to field workers, and he's finally got that under control. We as Missourians expect initiative and leadership when MoDOT employees drive on highways to look for potholes that I turn in routinely and never get repaired, failing pavement that I routinely turn in and never gets addressed, fencing falling down, guardrails in need of repair, blowing down of signs that sit for a minimum of 6 months and over a year in some cases to get fixed. It's an embarrassment. Political signage allowed to remain in spite of violation of our state constitution that opposes that and says you can't put political signs on public right of way. Highway lights that are out, debris everywhere, safety impediments, down directional and mile marker signs. You're one of the last state agencies to post on the state website the meeting packet, documents, supporting details, bids, procurement, bills, debt service, contracts, memos, data, PowerPoints, reports, and administrative summaries. The former mayor of the city of St. Louis, Mr. Slay, knows that the city of St. Louis puts that information on the city's website that can be obtained and read by everybody, but yet you refuse to, and your general counsel refuses to release the information through your secretary's office. Now, the agenda item, you have public comments at the end of the agenda, but the state legislature and all other political subdivisions across the state have it at the beginning of the session, when you can effectuate change and lobby our state appointed and elected officials. Not at the end of the meeting when you've already approved everything on this list, and including a safety improvement of $52 million, but we in St. Charles County are getting nothing and are forgotten about. The commission, and I'll just sum it up, the commissioners, a new day is starting today. The newly appointed former Senator Dan Hageman and former Mayor Slay, I look forward to great changes, and hopefully we get to transparency, accountability, and responsibility of our transportation system. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That was the only one we had for public comment. So typically at the end of each meeting, we like to provide each commission member the opportunity to share any concerns or comments they may have. And so today we're going to start with Commissioner Erdman.
Well, I want to welcome the two new commissioners. It's great to have a full complement here on the commission, and you have a lot to look forward to. A year and 2 months ago, I was new to the commission and felt like I was drinking from the fire hose. I'm sure there's a little bit of that in your motion today. I know you'll enjoy your service. It's a great time to be on the commission. We're doing important things for Missouri, in some cases overdue things, and I look forward to working with you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Commissioner Erdman. Commissioner Boatwright.
Yeah, thank you. I'd just echo those comments. It's great to have a full commission. So welcome, Dan, and welcome, Francis. Really appreciate you being willing to step up into the role. It's something that does take up a lot of time, but it is for a worthy cause, for the success and for the continued growth and fostering an atmosphere in Missouri that can allow success. So welcome aboard. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Boatwright. Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, it's been echoed. I welcome my friends, Commissioner Hagan and Commissioner Slay. Glad to have you on here. I know you'll be a huge asset for both of us from both sides of the state. It's Bob always talked about that. 3 people will be killed today, 2 won't be wearing a seatbelt. And then, what's really disturbing, 60% of the occupants killed were unbuckled. I just don't understand. So we've just got to keep hammering on this until we get it to 0. It'll never be fixed. And I was in a double fatality wreck several years ago, so I don't even think about not putting my seatbelt on when I get in the car. So we just need to keep beating the drum until everybody's wearing it. And thank you for everything. I appreciate you and Pam and all the team here today. It was a good meeting, long day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exciting, the bridge deals. That's exciting. Anyway, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Slay.
Yes, first and foremost, I want to say that I'm thrilled and honored to have been appointed by Governor Parson for this position and to join with you gentlemen to serve this very important organization in the state of Missouri government. I have to say that I've been in government a long time, and I've seen a lot of civil servants, and I've seen a lot of presentations in my life, and seen a lot of very talented people, and I haven't seen more talented, more professional people than I have today within the Department of Transportation in the state of Missouri. And I just want to thank all of you for your great service, your hard work, and I'm very, very impressed with what I see. I wouldn't say I'm surprised. I've known many of you in the past, but I will tell you, just all day today, all I saw was a lot of very talented people who really care about what they do. They know what they're doing, very professional, and really put a really good face on the Department of Transportation. I just want to thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. Commissioner Hageman.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's appreciated opportunity to say a few words. I just appreciate the governor, just like you, Mayor Slay, Governor allowing me the opportunity to continue serving the people of the state of Missouri. Many of you have been over, and I really am honored to be serving with such an austere and esteemed individuals as you commissioners here. Many of you, I've known most all of you for a number of years now, in particular you, Commissioner Eckert, for many years. To join your cast of characters is quite an honor, and I really appreciate it. But I really appreciate the opportunity to continue to voice the citizens' concerns here in the state of Missouri and bring it forth here to another capacity here. I have known that the state workers have been dedicated force through years. On the Appropriations Committee, chairing that, you get to see a lot of state workers come forth, and certainly MoDOT has been very professional. And I will looking forward to working with all parts of the state, and of course, many of you know my passion has been the rural roads in the past few years, and I certainly want to see the legislature continue the effort to help bring up those rural roads and address the concerns that we've had for many years. And if I can be part of helping continue that, that's great. But we still also need to address all the economic development roads out there and the roads that really drive our economic forces in the state of Missouri. So it's a whole comprehensive process, but I'm pleased to be able to be a voice, from largely the rural areas of the state of Missouri. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, Commissioner Hageman. I would just once again like to welcome the new commissioners. I want you to know that we're glad to have you on board and have a full team. And if you have any questions or anything, you can call any of us anytime, and you can call any of the staff. We'll either get you the answers or find out where to get the answers. I want to say congratulations again to Natalie and Travis on your retirement. Congratulations to the Lake of the Ozarks Community Bridge people. That is just fantastic. And what a long process, but a great partnership that produced a great result. So, Brenda and your team that put together all those financial numbers, it's amazing. Great job. And then today, getting here was a little bit of a challenge. In the great Northwest, we had a lot of fog this morning. So I want to thank Pam and Jennifer and the Highway Patrol for starting the day about 5 o'clock this morning, trying to figure out how we were going to get to this meeting with all the fog. So that's above and beyond the call of duty. So thank you. And as this is the first meeting back in Jefferson City in 2024, we got a lot of exciting things to look forward to. And when you first come on, you get a lot of numbers, but the one that sticks out that I think we need to remember is that we are taking care of the 7th largest highway system in the nation of 33,000 miles, 10,000 bridges. And we do it professionally and efficiently with less staff than we deserve. So, and we need our employees to stay safe throughout 2024 so we can get all this work done. So with that, everyone buckle up and phone down before I adjourn. The next meeting will be February 14th here in Jeff City. With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Well, excuse me, we're recessed, right? We're recessed.